you will hear about Holly Osborn. She has accomplished her dream not in 5 years, but in 3.
I had this wealth of knowledge of how you could piece it all together.
Would you mind sharing our listeners what is it you are doing and a little bit about your background?
I started doing it self-employed after working with lots of people.
I like when the CRM softwares are very specific for what you do. It's called Professional Speaking Association.
It's quite nice that I was able to kind of learn all those business skills and bring them forward for this. We do outsource management.
We have their property people. They are some of clients of mine. How important do you feel like systems are when you run your own business?
We were doing refurb coordination, we were sourcing, we were managing.
In today's interview, you will hear about Holly Osborn. She has accomplished her dream not in 5 years, but in 3. She had made a goal to go over and travel around the world, and she did it. And all of that when she had the business here in the UK. She's amazing. She went from beauty therapist to helping people, sourcing property deals, managing properties, doing refurbs, owning 7 houses, selling 36 property deals, making over 6 figures on her journey. If you are excited like I am, make sure to listen to this podcast till the end, because we are throwing some bonuses at the end, how you can start working with her and how you can test and try something from what she and her husband have done and created for you. So make sure to watch till the end. Thank you very much, Holly, for coming to my podcast. Would you mind sharing our listeners what is it you are doing and a little bit about your background?
Sure. Yeah. So right now, I'm a property investor with my husband, Nick, and we've been doing that for 7 years. But my background's actually beauty therapy. I started off doing just general beauty treatments, but I quite quickly knew I wanted to travel. So I went on the cruise ships and all that kind of stuff. But naturally, as I was kind of working within businesses, I grew within the corporate world, within that industry. And what I started to realize is I was getting really stressed. I had no time to do anything. I was always chasing the money. And it got to a point where I realized that there must be a better way to be able to make some money while I sleep, have some more time back, more freedoms, without all of the stresses that can kind of come with, just always chasing after that kind of corporate ladder role. So that's how we kind of got into property. And yeah, it's been 7 years and that's what we're doing right now.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing. So, and how long have you been doing the beauty therapist then?
Yeah, so that was from when I was 18 and I'm 38 now. So, but I kind of stopped most of it for doing the property because I went into property full time 7 years ago. It was one of those where we did one of those educational courses and we started finding our area, and then we were driving up and down, up and down. We were in London at the time. We're going to the north and we were just kind of like getting really busy, had no life of our own, so to speak. And it just got to a point. Sorry.
When you say north, where that would be? Where up
we
to
ended
north?
up picking Sheffield, so we're now based in Sheffield. Yes, and we love Sheffield.
I'm just asking because for me it's south,
Yeah, yeah, because you're very north.
We were coming to north, and I'm thinking like, okay, so maybe they went up to Newcastle, maybe Durham. I'm just thinking like north because I'm in the Scottish border, so for me it's still south. But I'm thinking people after they're like Birmingham, like what? It's south. For me.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Plymouth, which is, proper southwest, grew up in all of Devon and everything. And then I kind of ended up in London. But yeah, it was difficult going up and down, but that was kind of what made the decision to move to Sheffield. And because of the beauty at the time, I could work from anywhere. Nick's background is IT, so he could kind of work from anywhere. So it just made sense to base ourselves on patch and do our jobs there. But quite quickly, we were so busy that I just didn't do the beauty anymore. I was full-time in property the moment we got to Sheffield, which was in 2018. And been doing that ever since.
And I actually have been to Sheffield in IKEA like many times because we stage 2 holiday lets in a workshop, which is just 20 minutes from Sheffield.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun actually. I even have a vlog video about it, how much fun it was. And
brilliant.
I wanted to ask you, so when you were doing the beauty therapist for obviously a lot of years, you were doing it on your own, so basically you would get paid per client, or have you been all creating it more as a business as well with having your beauty therapists?
Yeah, so with the beauty therapy, I was a bit of everything really. I think when I was younger, my goal was to have my own spa salon clinic at some point. And to do that, and I've actually read loads of books now because I wasn't really a book reader before, but now I'm like, oh, I kind of naturally did what they're saying I should do. Was I kind of like worked for lots of different people doing different roles. So, I did the actual treatment side. I then did the salon managerial side. I've done kind of product area sales rep sides and all of the different stuff. And then I ended up being a consultant on Harley Street in Knightsbridge, helping, doctor surgeries and anyone that's doing skincare treatments on how to not just do the treatments, but how to build the business. So I was ended up being a business consultant. So by the end of that long experience from when I was 18 all the way up to only 7 years ago, so early 30s, I had this wealth of knowledge of how you could piece it all together. Anything from like the stocks and staffing and sales and all of that kind of stuff. I had experience in so much of it. So
Yeah.
I started doing it self-employed after working with lots of people. And then, of course, we found the property. So then that's kind of like dwindled away. But of course, you still keep all those, kind of gifts along the way. I've learned all these skills that I can actually put into you've got to be so personable, within property. It's a people's business.
Yes.
And I know we had a quick conversation before we started this where it's kind of like people forget that it's actually a business. And I was actually alluded to the fact that it wasn't a business when I first signed up to property. I just thought, oh, great, we're just going to have it's going to be like a pension plan and it's going to be sat in the background. But quite quickly, I learned that, oh, actually, there's a lot more to it. And the first house, when the money started coming in, didn't just line our pockets. I had to pay for all the business costs. So then you're like, right, okay, so that's first house down. It's only covering so much. So you kind of build on it. So yeah, it's quite nice that I was able to kind of learn all those business skills and bring them forward for this.
Yeah, no, that's very good that you had this experience with that, because I'll just share two examples. So one is mine. I used to have a food truck business for 4.5 years in Edinburgh, and I just did it like you would do the beauty therapy. So I've done that because I really wanted to cook. It was my passion, but I had no idea about business. So obviously I failed and I lost money because I didn't know anything like taxes or how to market myself. Only thing I knew is how to cook, and it wasn't enough. And I can see it in property as well. Some people, they found, I have actually now, last week I found out something like one guy, he's having like rent-to-rent deals. And yes, he's making money on those deals. And suddenly the accountant tells him like he needs to pay, like £25,000 for taxes because of, like VAT and all these things. And he's like, oh, but I don't have that money. I'm like, yeah, so you need to think about that and put it on the side or structure it maybe differently. But a lot of people, they don't think about it. They just see like one strategy, go for it, but they don't see all the other things, and it's working for a while, let's say 1.5 years, 2 years. And after, a lot of things can change. So that you had the experience with beauty, you've done it for years, so that it'll help you in the property, because I think a lot of people are missing that base knowledge, and they just go, I don't know if you have an experience with another people who just jump into the property, but they made some mistakes because they didn't know. Would you maybe want to share?
Yeah, and same in the sense of people skills. I think that's so important. There's a lot of people that go, oh, that sounds and looks amazing and easy, but when they get to it, they don't have the right tone of voice when they speak to an agent or a direct vendor. They can upset people. There's times where I've seen people go up to viewings and they're just literally rushing around looking at this property, but not even looking at the owner, and like making comments and stuff. That's quite offensive. And then they are in a rush and they leave. And then I'm there spending time with the owner and having a chat and finding out a little bit more about the background of everything. And then I get the offer accepted. And you just think these people that are literally like busy fools, basically, are just running around ticking boxes, but they're not really applying anything that's going to get them to the next step. And I think that's anyone that's going into property. It isn't just property. It's sales, it's personable skills. It's all of that kind of stuff. And then of course I don't believe you need to know everything. I'm not great with math or numbers as such, but there's lots of tools. It's the book Who Not How. Big fan of that book. You find the right people that know the stuff. You find the man that can or the woman that can, and those types of things are taken care of, but then focusing on your strength. So if you're not very personable, you either need to start learning and teaching yourself and doing certain work on yourself with that, or you might then think, right, okay, well, I'm not going to be the one that finds the property. I'm happy to pay for a sourcing agent to find the property for me because that's their skill, and I'm happy to pay them for that so that I can build this portfolio of mine because I don't have that skill, for example. So I just think, it's just kind of finding what your strengths are and utilizing other people's services as well. It's about that, working with others.
Yeah, you are very right. Like I've written in here too. No, so one thing, like you mentioned, like a lot of people they go and they just tick boxes, right? They just rush on the viewings. They're like, yes, I don't know, coach, mentor told me 10 viewings. Yes, I've done 10 viewings, but nothing real happened, right? So, like you said, it's about the building that relationship. And actually, I had this. What's today? Yeah, it was this week. I had a coaching session with my client, and he said, okay, I'm gonna check those deals, which is like for buy refurbish refinance, and I'll see which ones I can do. And after I'll book the viewing, but before I'll go on the viewing, I'll check the numbers, everything's tagged. I'm like, no, you don't do it. I mean, I operate like that. You don't check any numbers. You just go on the viewing because you never know who you're gonna meet. And if there is an owner, maybe he's having another property which is gonna be vacant next week. We don't know. So you need to build a relationship with him first. And every deal can work if there is a right offer. So just go on the viewings, don't overthink it, and after deal with whatever happens after. It's like okay. Because I see a lot of people that just spend time with numbers, and after like there's no even point to call it because it's not gonna work. But if the offer would be 10,000 less, maybe it would work, but they don't think like that. So it's just like ticking the box. So I think people skills, it's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I do think there is something within, the numbers game. When you say a coach is just saying, just view loads and loads and loads and offer on loads and loads and loads. When we first started, we did do that. And I think it was like 40 offers in like 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks we put in. We were just like, go, just offer on everything. And we did get 2 offers accepted in the end. So I do believe that even when you're not experienced, a numbers game's going to help. It's kind of plowing through. That kind of number, though, has got smaller though with practice and just building the relationship in your area, because now I don't need to offer on 40 properties. I could probably offer on 5 and still get 1 offer accepted. So your kind of key performing indicators change over time and growth. So I mean, there is something in it, but I think you're right. I think if people are just sat behind a desk just playing around with numbers, they're not going to get anywhere. You have to build the relationships. You have to get out there. You've got to do the networking for people to think of you. If someone has a property that they want to sell and they know, Holly's in Sheffield, she could help. That's gonna benefit you know what I mean? So if anyone that's going to be starting out right now, they've kind of got to be known for what you're specializing in. Else, it's just a lot of hard work. We do actually have, because Nick's background's IT, we started out with a CRM system called Property Pipeline. He created it for us and we launched it back in 2020. And we've just released now an advanced package of it where you get more tools for such a great value. But what it does in that is it's got a calculator. Sorry.
Is it you and your husband? You are the owners of the Property Pipeline?
We are, yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. I heard about the software. I've seen it.
Great.
I have so many different CRM softwares, but I'm not focusing on property as such. But I've seen it, many times in the past. So it'll be good to know, because I could definitely check with my clients who are focusing on property mainly.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I like when the CRM softwares are very specific for what you do. I had this one example, like I'm a member of, I don't know, maybe it's called Professional Speaking Association.
Oh, yeah.
PSA, so they're based in obviously UK. And there was this one lady, and she said, like, I check all the CRM systems and nothing worked. And she's basically a product developer and she's very smart. And so she just created her own CRM system just for speakers. And after a few years, I think she sold it to someone. But it's very good to have a very specific software, because it's gonna help you a lot. So So what
100%.
software can do, because it's actually very interesting.
Yeah, no, of course. So it does everything from the beginning you start your property journey all the way to end of managing your portfolio, because we developed it for us. It's created by property investors for property investors. So it's very specific. From the moment you view a property online, you can add it in, you can do your follow-ups, put your offers in, get the offer history up there, nurture relationships. Where I was going with the conversation a minute ago was there's a calculating tool in there. And within 5 minutes, you can identify whether a property is really worth viewing or not, in the sense of you can see all the different strategies. So this particular box of a house, if I was to do it as a HMO or a buy to let or an SA or whatever you want to do it as, you can compare them and you can kind of see your minimum offer to your max offer of what your kind of parameters are. So you might say, I'm not going to invest in anything that's, not going to give me 20% return on investment. So you'll be able to work out the max offer. And then say, for example, the max offer was like, I don't know, 100,000, but it was on the market for 200,000. The likelihood of you getting that offer accepted is quite low. So you would just go, well, I'm just going to park that one, but you could always follow up and check on it. And there's other things in the system you can do, because when it's a hot market and things flying out the window, you don't want to waste your time and just view stuff that's not worth it. But in 5 minutes of just scanning, like Rightmove, for example, you're going to identify lots of properties that are worth doing, that you can go and view without really doing much thinking and spending too much time on it. So there's that. But there's also things like calendar syncs. There's 100 free text messages. You can oversee your angel investors. You can, look at your refurb. There's so many things that you can do within that. And not only do we work with individuals that are just starting out, because there is a standard package of £29 a month with all those things. And for that, you actually get 5 other people included. So you're actually getting 5 accounts for the price of one. Oh, wow. So it's really great value if you're growing your team, you're working with sourcing people or anything like that, because you can work closely together. But with the advanced packages, you're just going to get that little bit more support. And we do work with a lot of training providers and sourcing agents that want us to bespoke it. So they've used our system and they've gone, that is amazing. But in our system, in our company, we work a bit like this. So we'll just adapt the whole system for the way they work. So it can be very, I guess it's a family company, you can call it. It's me and Nick. We've got VAs, things are growing, and it's been going for some time now. And we get loads of feedback from people, and we just keep growing and growing, and we can bespoke and help people individually. So yeah, it's a great affordable tool that can really help people get them off the ground.
Perfect. That sounds very good. So, what would be maybe good to do? I can, if you can send me also some. Do you do also any like a 7-day trial or something?
Yeah, of course. You always get a 2-week free trial. So you could go onto the website now, which is www.propertypipeline.co.uk, and you just sign up for the 2-week free trial. I would even advise to go to the advanced package, so that you get everything there, trial it, and then you can always cancel at any time. There's no limit to. You can cancel whenever. Okay. And we do one-on-ones, trainings, lots of support. We have weekly accountability calls to help with systemization. So people that really want to kind of, I think if anyone's using like Excel spreadsheet or Post-it notes and paper, it is difficult to change over to something that works better. But with this system, you can use it anywhere on your phone. Again, I mentioned before we got onto this call, we went traveling for 6 months. We had, someone from my HMO says that the boiler's not working. So we literally just messaged our maintenance guy, which was through our phone contact that was linked to that house. We gave them the lockbox codes, which was all, because I wouldn't remember all this. It's just on the house. And we got them to set it all up, and they went in and they fixed it, within the day. And we didn't have to do anything. We do outsource management too, but we do a lot of self-management, because with a tool like this, it's so simple. We actually had another time where we were away, and a washing machine of ours leaked. We had a warranty for it. Now, if you're on paperwork, where is that warranty information? It's probably in an office drawer or somewhere. Whereas for us, we just went onto the address on the system on our phone, went to the washing machine, because there's a services section, and underneath it we had the warranty, the make, the model, the call out number, and absolutely everything. And we sent that to the tenant, and she arranged to get it sorted. So just things like that just makes your life a lot easier when you're kind of out traveling and trying to get your freedom, I guess. get your freedom back. Like what you were saying, weren't you? Like there's so many people, they chase these dreams and then they're busier than what they were to begin with. And we want to try and help people systemize and get out of that cycle.
Perfect. Perfect. So I was asking because we run every month in Edinburgh. We run our own networking event, which is business and property networking event in Edinburgh.
Amazing.
So we have next one in end of April, and I'll be back. So I'll share that. I'll just need some, maybe I don't know, maybe something which I can put on the slides.
Sure, we can send you. Yeah,
send
of
me
course.
something like a QR code, and people can just scan it. Like I'll just promote it. Like try it for 2 weeks at least, see how it is for you. Because we have their property people. They are some of clients of mine, and so that'll be good. Maybe they can check it out because if it's specific for property people, so that'll be good. Regarding the property pipeline or in general, like you said, you've been on holidays and you sort it out this way. How important do you feel like systems are when you run your own business?
It's hugely important. The main thing, I mean, if you don't have a system in place, you're a bit like what we were saying earlier, you could just be running around like a busy fool. You're not really knowing where you're at. I think it's really important that you know your end goal. You always work with the end in mind. I think once you know what you want in the end, like so the way we were able to kind of go away and not be here and to build the type of portfolio we did to do that, to have, it was basically, we did it in 2-3 years. And then the last 2 years was really just getting married, going on lots of holidays, and doing all the things with family and friends. And then the 6 months travel. So the way we did it was we were like, right, okay, we need X amount of money. It's a bit like the 10X really, isn't it? We need X amount of money times like 10X or whatever, to hit that goal in 5 years time. And then what does that look like in the sense of building a portfolio? So then we would kind of like, right, we need like 3 HMOs this year. We need, an odd buy to let. So we kind of planned it out each month and really kind of just, again, systemized everything in the sense of goal setting. But then operationally, as that went, it was the same thing. We actually had 6 businesses at one point. We were doing refurb coordination. We were sourcing. We were managing properties for people. There were so many things we were doing. So we had to be organized, had to be systemized. And as I mentioned before, Nick did create Property Pipeline before we even launched it out to everybody. So we kind of had that to start with. So it does help all areas of business within property, that kind of system. But I do think you do need to have a structure within your own goal to keep yourself on that kind of right path, really. And I guess that path can still, swerve a little bit. Like there was one year where we were like, right, we need 3 HMOs to hit our goal. And we ended up finding one house that we turned into 3 flats and we essayed them out. And that made us the same amount of money. So it's kind of like, instead of buying 3, just buy 1. You don't always have to, work harder. You got to kind of start looking at ways to work a bit smarter.
Absolutely. And so I have a question. So you said that you had this 5-year goal. You built it out in 3 years after you went to travels. What did you build in those 3 years, like regarding your passive income, regarding how many properties, whatever you feel like you want to share, because it'll be very interesting what you managed to accomplish in 3 years.
Sure. So just, I guess in general, it was like the services that we provide in the sense of like the management and the refurb coordination obviously helped. With the sourcing also, we sourced, I think it was something like 36 properties in 18 months. Okay. So we did that and then obviously helped those clients move forward with those things. For our portfolio though, we flipped a couple, we did a couple of rent to SAs, which we don't have those anymore, but that was kind of part of the plan. And then we've actually only now got, and people kind of go, because everyone goes, how many houses do you have? But it's only 7. And I'm proud to kind of say it because I think that's another thing people think they should have hundreds of properties. Now, we're still growing our portfolio, don't get me wrong. We want it to go bigger, but it was more about what do we need to get to where we want to get to? Like, I don't want to have hundreds of properties and a massive, thing on my shoulders and that I'm worrying about and having to manage all the time. I want something that's manageable, but is good income. So it's about the quality, not necessarily the quantity. So I do like to share that because I think a lot of people kind of go, well, what would you know? You've only had 7. But I've had experience with lots of other properties for other people. I know how it's done, but I only want these ones because these ones are giving me the best amount of money. It gives me my goal. got us married, it's got us traveling, and that's what we wanted. So now it's like looking at the next 5-year goals. What do I want now? So if someone's goal is, I want to spend more time with my kids, well, having a portfolio of 150 houses probably isn't going to do that unless they do have their systems in place and it's all
Yeah.
going fine and dandy. If not, they're going to have a lot of sleepless nights, and they're not going to be, with their kids, especially if their portfolio is not in where they live. You kind of want to be a little bit more on the ground potentially if you're trying to set things up. So yeah, it's horses for courses. I guess it's dependent on what your goal is, but I think it's definitely something to bear in mind when you're starting out.
And with these, obviously, 46 deals you sold, obviously, we're doing the management, rent to rent before, 7 houses now. Did you manage to do that with your money only, which you made through the sourcing and things like that? Or did you need to do any creative ways like raising finance, doing joint ventures?
Yeah. We did a couple of joint ventures. We only work with angel investors. We didn't use, any of our own money because we didn't have any. When we first started, we were in loads of debt, lots of debt. We were working hard, playing hard in London. We had the nice car and all of that stuff that sounds all brilliant, and going on lots of holidays, but could we really afford it? Probably not. It was very silly, bad debt. And then we didn't even have money for the course. We had to kind of put it on a credit card and all that kind of stuff. So we were not in a good place when we started 7 years ago.
Okay. Can I ask you that? How much was that course? You don't need to say what company if you don't want to, but just how much was it?
Yeah, it was in between 25 and 30,000.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And
that's absolutely fine. So you've seen the opportunity, those 25,000, 30K, somebody asks you to invest because it can change your future, right? And you don't have the money, but you put it on credit card because it's going to build towards something, and you did that step, which is amazing. And I'm doing the same things, like start with from that. And like if I see an opportunity, just the other week we've been in London with JT folks, and we have signed up for 10 years kind of to work with him. And again, like it was a big investment, and we didn't have that money in the particular moment, but we paid some deposit. Like, we'll pay it in 4 payments. We'll figure it out, because there is a huge opportunity to work with someone on that level. And so why do you think some people, they just do it and some people don't?
It's odd. From that moment when we put that money up front, and the other people did too, there was, if I look back now at who was in that room, there's only one other person I know that's still doing it. I think there's loads of reasons. I think fear is a big player of it. I think also life circumstances, things change as well. But for us, and I think for the other people that I know, I think it's more about the fact that we had to make it work at that point. Our backs were against the wall. I think when you really want something that hard and it costs that kind of money and you don't really have that kind of money, I think you do whatever it takes, like us moving to our investment area, like us creating, we did like 6 different jobs, which in hindsight as well, that helped us. I said, but now I would niche down now, like totally niche down and be really good in what you do. But at the time we just did whatever it took. Whereas I think some people just don't need to, maybe.
With this investment, sometimes I've seen like there are people, let's say they have a good job, they're making good money, and let's say they save the money. So they have the money on the account, let's say 25,000, they have even more, depends what they are buying. And after they see the opportunity, and they just take the money, they pay for it. And even though it was a lot of money, sometimes I feel like they are not that invested if they would take it on a credit card or they would take a loan or something. Like I did the same, because now you need to pay the loan back. It's much harder than to use your saved money because if it's not working, you're like, oh, I saved that for 3 years or whatever. And they kind of slow down. But
and
when you
like win some, lose some, they just seem like a little bit. I understand that though, because I guess now I've kind of got to another like level from where we were at, and we started to get some securities and things. I did get a little bit more comfortable, and I think when you get a little bit more comfortable, your day does become a little bit, which is nice. You get your time back a little bit and you get to pick and choose. But things, what's the saying? It's like you give a job to a busy person, not a busy person, because it's going to get done. And without that desire or want for something, like for me, I need to find new things now to get me excited. Else I'm not really got any up and go anymore. But back then it was like, whether I liked it or not, I need to do it. So I just think sometimes if someone is in a good job, they like their job, they're comfortable and they want to do this, it's just, there's not as much kind of like a fire in the belly around it. And I just think that's a really important thing to understand when you're pursuing anything, I guess. You want it,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I mean, you shared a lot. I think we need to do the next episode because it seems like it's so easy to chat with you.
Oh, thank you.
It's just flowing. I have so many notes. It's like I can just chat with you for another hours and you will just give more and more information and knowledge, which is cool.
Yeah.
But let's wrap it up because in general, people don't listen podcasts too so long. Can you maybe just share as a last thing, if there will be any, I don't know, one or two things, depends how many you want. If somebody is just, I don't know, unsure or starting out, it can be in property business, any other business, and they are on this fences, like maybe they are in debt as we've both been, and they're like, yeah, I want to really change my life, but I'm really struggling and I don't know what to do first because how can I buy that? Because even if I don't can use my credit card or whatever. So what would you recommend people like that to, just take the step towards something better?
It's a tough one because if you don't have the money and the guidance, because I do believe in coaches and mentors are, invaluable, I would definitely say, find a way. If you can't afford the coach yet, get as much as you can from podcasts like this, YouTube, get as much as you can. But I think at some point you're going to have to make the leap. And that might even be like we've actually had, family members and friends and stuff like that has actually lent, and you can actually look at that. You can speak to them where they can give you a bit like we were talking about angel investors, where they can give it to you to get you started. And that's again another kind of pressure because you need to pay that back with interest. So it's one of those where that also can kind of work. And that's how we were able to build our portfolio, by working with people, making it a win-win, kind of giving our family and our friends money back more than what they gave us just to get started. So you need to kind of get the knowledge, you need to get the coach, and you need to get started. You can't just keep doing courses. I think you just got to make the step. I think the other thing, like just a reminder really of kind of where we were at when we first got our house, we got the offer accepted, but we literally were like cacking it, to be honest. We were like, we have no money to refurb it. We have no idea, like, how are we going to do this? Like, it was constant freaking out all the time. But as a reassurance, it did work out, and it does work out. You just got to stay close to your network. And there's so many people out there that can help you, and just keep going. Just don't stop. Just be consistent and keep going.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. You will share with me all these details of yours, the property pipeline.
Sure.
I'll put it all in description. So if somebody wants to connect with Holly, make sure to, follow the instructions in descriptions, connect with her. And also I'll share that information with all of, obviously my audience. So thank you very much, Holly, for this amazing podcast.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.